I'm going to use the keyword study Bible here as a bit of a backdrop, and I'm going to include the Strong's numbers for y'all who would be interested, because I actually want to explain to y'all something very interesting. And I'm also going to look in the Thompson Chain Reference Bible here, and I'm going to look in here to see if I can find y'all some numbers in there as well that will help y'all find on this particular very interesting subject. So these are going to be the main books. The Witness of the Stars by E.W. Bullinger. I actually had found a quote in here that was very interesting, explaining that Josephus had 8 Gentile witnesses that showed that the reason the antediluvians lived so long, and antediluvian means before the flood, the reason they lived so long was because they were actually charting out the stars. And I actually went to Josephus here and I looked that up. I looked it up, that particular quote that E.W. Bullinger was describing. So let me see if I can find it. All right, so here in one moment, please. Lost my spot. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I was way off. All right, here we go. I got it now. All right, so right here it says, this is in, if you want to look this up in Josephus, it's in chapter 2, towards the end, right before chapter 3. So it says, they also were the inventors of that peculiar sort of wisdom which is concerned with the heavenly bodies and their order, and that their inventions might not be lost before they were sufficiently known. Upon Adam's prediction that the world was to be destroyed at one time by the force of fire, and at another time by the violence and quantity of water, they made 2 pillars, the one of brick, the other of stone. They inscribed their discoveries on them both, that in case the pillar or brick should be destroyed by the flood, the pillar of stone might remain and exhibit those discoveries to mankind, and also informed them that there was another pillar of brick erected by them. Now this remains in the land of Syria to this day. So, one of the very interesting things, and this goes to Genesis 11, and this probably goes all the way back to what he's referring to, but in Genesis 11, we know that they were building ziggurats, observatories, so that they could have a representation of heaven in its tops. And that's what they did, is they patterned these things after the movement of heavenly bodies. And if you read some of Plato, he'll even explain their views of what the planets were and how they viewed them as like the keepers of time, and how time worked, and the great years and the great cycles. So Bulfinch's mythology actually gives you a lot of the mythology they had from the stars. And even Paul quotes one of them when he says, like, in him we live and move and have our being, which is quoting a poet that was from Tarsus as well, like Paul was from Tarsus. So Bulfinch's mythology, he actually explains this ancient story, and this goes back to Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome, and they might have named them after different gods. And every time someone would conquer, they'd give the gods their new names. But this kind of shows you exactly what I'm talking about. So it says, Orion was the son of Neptune. He was a handsome giant. I put tyrant up there, and a mighty, like Nimrod was a mighty hunter. His father, and that's what Nimrod actually, if you look up Orion in the scriptures and look up the definition of the word Kesil, it actually means like a giant. And that's what they translated it in Genesis chapter 6. But it actually means a tyrant or a bully. And that's where we get the word Taurus and bull, right? Like, or we get tyrant from Taurus and bully from bull. So it goes on to say, his father gave him the power of wading through the depths of the sea, or as others say, of walking on a surface. Orion loved Merope, the daughter of Sinopean, king of Chios, and sought her in marriage. He cleared the island of wild beasts and brought the spoils of the chase as presents to his beloved. But as Sepoion constantly deferred his consent, Orion attempted to gain possession of the maiden by violence. Her father, incensed at this conduct, having made Orion drunk, deprived him of his sight and cast him out on the seashore. So this is even Egypt. So Egypt, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, all of these stories, because you can see Horus and Osiris and Isis in this story too. The blinded hero